warriors chasing gold. This game's ours, it's ours to hold. One shot left, one play to run. Make it count under the setting sun. It's game time grind. All or nothing on the line. Push through the pain. Leave it all in the rain. It's game time grind. Victory's ours to find. Victory's ours to find. It's game time grind. Victory's ours to find. Victory's ours to find. Victory's ours to find.
Let's go, everybody. It's a brand new episode of Game Time Grind. I'm Ali the Persian. This is Mystic. How's everybody doing tonight? I hope everyone is doing well. What is up, sir? How you been?
Hey, what's going on, man? What's going on? I'm doing good. I'm finally, got rid of this cold that's been with me for about, 2 weeks now. Finally feeling great there. Well, excuse me. A lot of good things to talk about. I'm excited to be back.
Yeah, lots
Let's get
happened in
to it.
college football. Definitely. I'm glad you're feeling better. Yeah, that's definitely for sure. I hope all is well with the family. I know in my house, we've got, my kids and stuff. They're bringing stuff home from school. So I know how you feel with the, being sick and stuff, but hope all is well. But yeah, if you're brand new to the show, make sure you subscribe, turn on the notification bell. We're going to try to put out more and more episodes as we kind of build this schedule that we're in right now. And in addition to it, hit the like button. That's all I can ask. If anything, just hit the like button, right? So I definitely appreciate everybody. So Mystic, what are your thoughts in the last couple of weeks of college football?
A lot of, I guess, what we all like about college football. A lot of surprising things. A lot of things that kind of, I guess, what people would consider, back to the norm on some things. I like to see the growth of some of these teams through the course of the season. I'm really excited as we get down close to it to see what these playoffs are going to look like.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited to see what it's going to look like. I think there's maybe some sleeper teams that could slide in, and we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. We'll also talk about some of the firings that we saw happen, and that was some big news out of Pennsylvania. So we'll talk about that. But yeah, there's definitely this is the time of the year where upsets start to happen and things start to go off, and you start building this road all the way into the college football playoffs. So I'm excited to talk about it. But yeah, let's get started. Hit the like button, everybody. And yeah, let's rock with it. So big matchups for this week. We're in week 10 of
Yes, sir.
college
It
football,
is
I believe.
week 10.
Week 10. I know there's some big ones.
We got a Friday night matchup of the new top 25 edition of Memphis is taking on Rice. So, interesting little Friday night there. But then, you got the real big games coming there on Saturday.
They got that QB Lewis. I know he's having an okay season. He has about 1,650 yards and about 10 touchdowns, I want to say.
Yes, sir.
Not trying to be perfect there, but
that's literally you're about 6 yards off. Otherwise, you're spot on.
Oh, shit. Yeah. I thought I saw that earlier. Saturday kickoff noon, Penn State versus Ohio State. That is always a big matchup, and it always leads to some type of surprise. Right when you think Penn State has the upper hand, Ohio State, comes out of nowhere and blasts them. Then if if Ohio State's not on their game, Penn State has blasted them in the past. Right now, we're seeing a perfect Ohio State season being led by Julian Sayin, Jeremiah Smith. Let's not forget the up and coming rookie, Bo Jackson. Yes, Bo Jackson has returned to football. If you don't know him, check him out. Up and coming running back. He's definitely starting to come in his own every game. He's starting to look better. The way his speed, the way he moves, he is going to be an exciting player to look at going forward. And I know I made kind of the Bo Jackson joke, not to make it even worse. Do you know what his actual real first name is? Because his nickname is Bo. Do you know what his first name is?
You got me.
I'll give you a hint. It's another Jackson.
Oh, is it Lamar?
It is Lamar. Lamar is its real first name. So, I mean, heck, if you're named after either guy, I think that's pretty cool, to be honest.
I like it.
If you have any type of ability that is similar to that, wow, I'll take it. I'll take it. But yeah, Ohio State, Penn State's going to be a huge matchup. The other one that I kind of like is Vanderbilt versus Texas. Okay.
Yep.
Pavia, the quarterback of Vanderbilt, I know he's starting to make a case for the Heisman. I've seen him starting to creep into the odds. He always finds a way to surprise people. I think it's his inability to give up, if you know what I mean by that.
Yep.
On any play, he just keeps fighting and fighting and fighting. And I think that's why I'm starting to like him. I don't like Vanderbilt at all, but I'm starting to like Pavia, to be honest. What are your thoughts on him?
As you say his name, I actually, hadn't heard much about the kid. I just kind of going here and looking, and yeah, I mean, you're talking about over. They're saying, yeah, you're talking over 2,000 total yards already this season.
Yep.
And when it comes to that, he's at 21 total touchdowns. I mean, averaging 5 yards a carry on the ground, averaging 8, almost 9 yards a pass. Like, that's a dual threat right there. And if you're telling me it's a guy that, he has that don't quit mentality, no surprise that he has Vanderbilt up here ranked number 9. Sounds like they're playing some good football. I'll definitely be keeping an eye out on that one.
Yeah, definitely. I always know like Pavia is this kind of like dual threat ability, and he has the ability to kind of like change the play up completely, like do something you're completely not expecting at all every time. So I'm kind of excited for it. Texas is kind of on a down year. Some bigger news out of Texas though, and I'm seeing rumblings on Twitter, and I've read some articles that could Sark be out in Texas? Like, could he be on his way out? And supposedly, and from different sources that I listen to and also read and have viewed on Twitter, he's actually put the word out. Hey, I'll listen to offers. You know what I mean? So it makes me wonder, like, was the Arch Manning project too much for him? You know what I mean? What are your thoughts on that?
That's juicy, man. That's not
I
what you want to
personally
see.
don't see him leaving Texas, though. I don't see him doing that. I mean, Texas, there's a couple jobs in college football that you can say it's the royalty job. You know what I mean? Ohio State, being the head coach of Ohio State is a royalty job. Being a head coach of Texas is a royalty job. I'll say even the Alabama, being a head coach, that is a royalty job, to be honest. Right? Even though Alabama hasn't, I mean, this season they're good, but the last 1 or 2 seasons, it wasn't that great.
I remember when USC used to be that way.
It's a prestigious job to hold, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, 100%, man.
So for me, I just don't see him leaving Texas. Knowing Texas's budget and how much they pay college coaches now,
It'd just be crazy.
There's been no point to go to the NFL, to be honest.
That would just be crazy to me if he, basically left the, what we call the Arch Manning
Hmm.
project. First year the kid starts, and you see there's room for growth. Like that's why we shouldn't hear anything whatsoever about Arch Manning in the NFL draft. Arch Manning needs to return for his junior season, and then if we can see him, have an uptick from this year, because I think the talent's there, man. I do. I think he just needed to really just put in some work with some mechanic things
Hmm.
and get away from having that in duress moments, that sidearm release you see, which is just so awkward. He obviously he's athletic. He can get out of the pocket with his feet, but figure out those passing mechanics a little more, and I think that he could actually still be something. Again, like I said, all the talent in the world. It's just we want to
Yeah.
see the kid grow, and then coming out and going to the NFL is not the play for the young kid.
I agree with you 100%. So, yeah, it's just interesting. I'm wondering if some of those rumblings are coming from fan bases, or maybe people that are close to Texas, but that may have an ear in there. I don't really know what is going on. Knowing the amount of money they spent, not just on player personnel, in the transfer portal and in recruiting and whatnot, but also the coaches that they have brought in. There's
Right.
several names on that staff that should be head coaches today. I just don't see how they could go into the season knowing the mechanics need to be worked on. You had to have
True.
known this and worked on and prepared for it. So that makes me wonder, is it Sark? Is it Arch Manning? Who's to blame here? And
Uh-huh.
it'll be really interesting what happens from this year to next. If Sarkisian's still there, then great. We'll see what happens. Maybe it was just a bad years, something like that. But if it's not, and we have a similar outcome, it makes me wonder who it really is. But I don't think he's leaving. I think he stays. I don't want to call Sarkisian the next Coach Franklin out of Penn State, for
Right.
example. We'll
Right.
talk about him in a few minutes, but it's very, I don't want to say he's that kind of guy. I don't think so. I think he's built that program up. They are where they're at today because of him.
Yep.
I just think it's a down year and they just need to figure it out. I think that's where it is, to be
I
honest.
agree.
All right. Keep it moving with big matchups. Miami and SMU. Why this is a big matchup?
Mm,
You probably
mm.
are expecting Miami to run away with it, but it's SMU. SMU has been in the ACC conversation at least for the last 2 years,
Yep.
being up there. In addition to that, they're one of the teams that I believe, and I'm actually going to pull up the ACC standings real quick to confirm it. But I believe they're one of the teams that are standing in Miami's way. And I
Yep.
am correct. They are above Duke actually at this point. So, yes, Miami has to win this game. They have to take care of business. I think for the rest of the season, they have to play no playing around, all business football. That's what they need to
Yeah.
do to get where they need to be.
I
I'm
agree.
looking at the other teams that they have. Trying to see, Pittsburgh will be a big
SMU.
one. That Pittsburgh game is going to be huge.
Yep.
Trying to see if there's anybody else that Miami plays that are in the top five. No, they don't play anybody else but SMU and Pittsburgh. So those two games are must win for Miami if they really want to turn it around. That game against Louisville has messed their season up, to be honest.
Which is
It
so crazy.
it is crazy. I told everybody this year it was Mario Cristobal's. How do I say this? He needs to show that he can get the job done. This was the
Yep.
year. Every year it's like,
Evaluation
I
year.
think I can, I think I can, I think I can, but they fall short. Or
I
they have
agree.
a bunch of hype early and then it just dies in the season. I needed him to show me something this year. Right now, we're like it's on track to be the same as last year, and maybe a Pop Tart Bowl appearance, possibly. Not
Ooh.
going to say that that's what it's going to be. It might be a different bowl, obviously, but it doesn't look like they're going to get to that championship game. So if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, man, he just stole the words right from me. I are they gonna really? Do we really think they're gonna beat Georgia Tech?
I don't know if they can beat Georgia Tech. What I do know is that they need some help in this situation because they got Louisville above them. Um, they have Pittsburgh and SMU are above them, obviously, right? Virginia and Georgia Tech are above them. They don't play Virginia or Georgia Tech. They play SMU and um, the Pittsburgh Panthers. So both of those teams are must wins. Actually, it's a must win for every game all the way through the end of the season. That's a fact. But,
Ooh,
but
see,
everybody else they play
mm.
is below them already.
So, Georgia Tech here, they got at NC State, at Boston College, and then they're versus Pittsburgh, right?
Mhm.
And they finished the season against number 5 Georgia.
Well, it's going to be really interesting because there, I guess if Georgia Tech loses, right? No, you still need Virginia to lose.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, for them to come close, it's gonna have to like they're gonna have to win out and have us a little help, obviously. But even if they made it to the situation, um, do we? I just don't think they're a better football team than Georgia Tech. I don't. I think the quarterback play for
Yeah.
Georgia Tech easily separates them.
The game to kind of watch, though, just it could be a close game, is Virginia Cavaliers playing Duke. Duke is an okay team right now,
Yep.
and they have their coach. I kind of like their coach too, and what they got going on.
Yep.
Um, I kind of think that if somehow, let's say Miami wins out, Georgia Tech obviously will probably beat the Pittsburgh Panthers as well, and Virginia loses to Duke, because I don't see them losing to anybody else on their schedule but them, possibly Duke. I'm not saying Duke will do it, but if they can somehow,
Right.
I think that's going to be the way that Miami gets to be in that ACC championship game if they can get there. But even then, I don't know if it's enough. I don't know if it's enough at all. So we will see. That will be a very close and interesting race to the finish in the ACC for sure.
100%.
Now, looking at it Saturday at the rest of the matchups, big one, Georgia versus Florida, Lagway, versus what's it, Gunner Stockton in Georgia. I got
Ooh.
Georgia putting bell to ass. That's what I got. Sorry for my
Yeah.
language,
I,
but I
I
think that's
don't.
gonna happen.
I don't see. Yeah. I don't know.
Georgia
I
still
don't
has
see
one of the
anything
better
changing.
defenses, so
I don't know. This is the first game without Billy Napier. They finally did what I said they needed to do for years now. And they finally got rid of
uh,
that guy. Oh my goodness, praise
I
the
said they should
Lord.
have done it last year. Last year they should have done it, but then he had that moment where he showed the team showed promise, and I think that's what they brought him back for. And this year, just it's
You
been
know
so
when
lopsided. You lose to
you know when I knew
Miami,
the
but
dude was
you beat
gone.
Texas. It's like really weird.
The
Go ahead.
guy should have. The guy. No, you're fine. The guy should have been gone. The year Anthony Richardson was there, and what they started the year, they won a big game. It was like a top 10 matchup or something. They won,
Mhm.
and then nosedived the next 3 games. Right there, get out of here. Goodbye. Like he should have had a short leash. That's the problem with Florida right now too. Is they're not holding people to a standard. There
Mhm.
hasn't been a standard in that organization since Tim Tebow and Urban Myers walked out. So that's just my honorable opinion on that.
Yeah,
But yeah,
definitely.
I don't see him doing anything different. I'm not really huge on Lagway either. I think Lagway has a lot of talent, but needs a lot of polishing.
100%. Yeah, I agree with you. Definitely. Um, But hey, another big matchup also, and this one I'm kind of really excited for, is the Texas Tech versus Kansas State matchup.
That
That
should be good.
matchup it's going to be huge. Big 12 football is back. If you don't know, Texas Tech in their air raid offense against Kansas State, who's also led by, I believe it's Avery Johnson is their quarterback, right?
Yep.
So yeah, and Texas Tech has Baron Morton. They've had some injuries up and down the quarterback room with Texas Tech. I think it just seems like, I think the guy they had playing the other day, he's out for the season now. So, but Baron Morton, very interesting, putting up numbers already. He has over 1,500 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions on the year, with a whopping rating of 175.6. If you follow the ratings. So that's pretty impressive, to be honest. Against the conference alone, he's 138.2 rating. So it's still really good. So it'll be really interesting. I'm excited for that matchup. I'm going to call it the battle of the QBs, because I think, if you've watched our last episode, the QBs from the Big 12, there's quite a few of them, and those offenses are going to start clicking, and it starts taking off. So it is very exciting football in the Big 12. Enough with the big matchups, though. Make sure you guys hit the like button. We'll talk more matchups as we go along, but I want to get to some of the other topics. Make sure you hit the like button, share with your friends. Since we're talking QBs and stats and stuff like that,
Yeah.
Heisman implications and front runner changes. I want to talk about that real quick. So there's been some shakeups along the Heisman talk since we've last talked, right? I believe at one point Fernando Mendoza was leading the way. There was Sellers that was leading the way at one point. But there's a new guy in town that's kind of climbed the ranks, who's been there, but he wasn't quite at the top until recently. And now he's tied with Mendoza. Ty Simpson and Fernando Mendoza are 1 and 2 for the Heisman odds, according to USA Today. So it is like plus 300 to plus 325. That's the difference. Like, it's pretty much so close, right? Simpson holds a slight edge over Mendoza last week, but the two quarterbacks are now lockstep as co-leaders after Mendoza scored 4 total touchdowns in the 56-6 win against UCLA. Speaking of that matchup, were you kind of let down with that game?
Yeah. I feel like there was more just, and again, I feel like maybe we're just looking at it maybe at a weird angle, and maybe we expect more, but it was a football team that just came out and handled their business. The football team, there wasn't one guy that needed to really help carry the offense because the defense couldn't make plays, or it was the defense had to make plays all day long because the offense couldn't move the ball. Like, no, it was all the way around the board. Like, offense, whoever touched the ball was making a play. Defense, they were getting turnovers, they were getting stops, they were getting good special teams returns. Like, it was just a good football outing by Indiana. Again, hats off to that head coach. They're prepared. But yeah, I think right now we just want to see these guys who are in these Heisman watches. We want to see them, have their moments. We want to see them take over and throw for 4 or 5 touchdowns, and oh, look at that throw, or we want to see that stuff. But I think sometimes we maybe use that too much as to what we're watching and not really analyzing what we're actually seeing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you 100%. For me, I guess why I'm kind of let down, to be honest, is UCLA had let their coach go. They made all these changes to the offensive coordinator, and they were able to beat Penn State, and they were on this momentum, and it just died like a halt against Indiana. Do you get what I'm saying? That's why I think
100%.
I'm more disappointed, if anything. It had nothing to do with Mendoza's performance. It's what I expected, but I was hoping more of a fight from UCLA.
You're
You
like,
know what
come
I'm saying?
on.
Yeah, I was hoping for
I'm
a
with you.
closer game kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
100%,
So,
man.
yeah. But yeah, it's very interesting how the Heisman is starting to shape up. Do you know who number 3 is?
I do not.
I'll give you a guess. He plays for the best damn team in all the land.
Oh man. The Miami Hurricanes? No, just
You're killing me. You're killing me, bro. No, Julian Sand plays for Ohio State Buckeyes.
Hey,
Is
there we go.
3 in the Heisman race. And I want to bring this up because the Heisman is voted on, I believe, based on the media. It's not like the fans or like let's say the team
Right.
voting on it. It's everybody in the media gets a vote essentially,
Correct.
right? And you know, it's you have to kind of be friendly with the media and build a campaign. It feels like to win a Heisman, right?
Yep.
And it's whoever has the biggest campaign, whose name is thrown out there in the media more than anybody else. That's kind of how that kind of gives you an inkling on who's winning the race. Well, Mendoza has been a big name we've been throwing out. Ty Simpson, obviously, those guys are out there. Their names are being shared among the media and everything. But slowly, over the past 2 weeks, it seems that Julian Sayin and his name is starting to rise the ranks. They're slowly and surely. I'm starting to see it on Twitter feeds. I'm seeing articles. It's being talked about on various different channels, not just on YouTube, but in the media, talking about Julian Sayin and how
Yep.
impressive he has looked at Ohio State in his first year as a starter. And to give you some perspective, Julian Sayin has over, I believe he has 1,872 yards on the year, and has 19 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. He has, and he was, he is over 80% completion rate. He has over 80% completion rate,
Hmm.
right? That's unheard of among quarterbacks. Like that's not like a normal thing, right? His rating is over 189.7 rating. If you want to look at ratings and if you follow that at all, he's completed 156 out of 195 attempts. The guy is really good, right? He
Absolutely.
has elite accuracy. He has patience. He allows plays to develop. If you ever watch the kid play and watch him on the sideline, the kid is like focused. He's not doesn't let anybody bother him. He can't. It's not like somebody you can get to him and he starts acting up because he doesn't know what to do and run all over the place. No, calm, cool, collected. Knows football, speaks football. When the coach needs something from him, he executes. And when he talks to coach to say, "Hey, this isn't working, but this is," he has that kind of bravado. He can talk to the coach. You know what I mean? Um,
Absolutely.
so my question to you is: we talked about Ty Simpson, we talked about Mendoza, we've just talked about Julian Sayin, and now there's a guy that people are starting to put up there that came, as a sleeper in a sense, Pavia, right?
Yes.
Pavia's name is starting to rise the ranks now, and let me find that info for you. And it's Diego Pavia, by the way.
I
People don't
saw
know he
him like
plays for
top
Vanderbilt.
5.
Yeah, he's like top 5 right now behind Marcel Reed, I want to say.
Yep.
Marcel Reed is the guy from Texas A&M, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a quarterback from Texas A&M.
That is
Um,
correct.
yeah, but Diego Pavia, if you would think about it prior to the season, this guy was a long shot. But because of his ability and in the back-to-back years, I want to say, where they've upset a team and they're playing at a high level in what he does, I think it's starting to make a case out of these guys, who's going to win it? That's really my question, Mystic. Who's going to win the Heisman?
Mm, mm. It's just. Oh yeah, but I think you do have a couple good couple good people that you could just check out and just watch, I think, for the rest of the season, and then when it comes down to it, I think this might be one of the closer Heisman races that we maybe get in the last couple seasons. I feel like in years past, it was usually,
Yeah.
it's clear cut, you know?
Yeah, it's really hard for me to tell. At one point I would have told you, yeah, Sellers is on pace, but no, he kind of fell off.
Yep,
Dante Moore kind of fell off. It's coming down to who's going to be the last person standing. To
yep,
me, the last person standing is either going to be Ty Simpson, Mendoza, or or Julian Sane. I think it's going to come down to those three guys.
I can see
Personally,
that.
I don't think though Pavia is definitely a good name. I think it's kind of a long shot based on the performances that you see from the other quarterbacks in that list. I can't tell you it's going to be Jeremiah Smith because, to be honest, Jeremiah Smith, and I told you this backstage, Jeremiah
Yep,
Smith, even though he is arguably the best wide receiver in all of college football, right? He knows his role and he's playing it elite at an elite level. And that is
100%.
to be the distraction. Teams are triple, double covering him 24/7,
Yep,
right? And that's opening up everybody else that is allowing Julian Sand to eat, right? So even though he's getting his too, I kind of feel like he's not, he's not getting the production that I think that a Heisman Trophy winner should have, right? And then
agreed.
you look at Mendoza and Julian Sayin, and then you look at Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson, I want to say, has a stronger case based on the strength of schedule and who they have to play, right? And who's ranked that's among them, right?
Yep,
Mendoza, and then you look at Julian Sayin. Well, Julian Sayin beat Texas when they were number one. That was huge. At some point, some of the teams that we have on our schedule were ranked, not so much anymore. Um, I don't think they're going to get to play anybody that's really ranked until we get to the Big Ten championship. I think that's where you're going to see that ranked game come into play outside of Texas. Personally, and I think it's kind of unfair to Mendoza too, because I think Ty Simpson is getting the nod because of who he's played. That could be
yep,
argued that, hey, he's performing and he's played these teams, right?
yep,
You look at Indiana's schedule, their schedule is not the best. He had to play Oregon. That was probably the biggest game yet. But if you look at who else they played, they really haven't played anybody else that's ranked. You know what I
yep.
mean? So for me, I think that I'm trying to change. I'm changing the subject a little bit here. I personally think they need to look at changing the schedule of when we vote on the Heisman. I think the Heisman should be voted at the end of the year, post playoffs. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
After the playoffs. I don't think it should be done beforehand. That's how I think all of those types of awards should be. Even if it's like an MVP race, I think all of that should be done after the season and the playoffs and everything have all ended. Um,
I
because
agree.
what if Mendoza goes on this wild, crazy run from the championship, Big Ten championship, all the way to a natty and wins the natty? Imagine if
Yeah,
he did, and think about all the ranked teams and good teams he's going to beat in that. Are
yep,
you still going to pick the other guy who may not have had that outcome as the Heisman winner? You know what I
right.
mean? So that's why
Agreed.
I think they should look at that. But still, going back to my original question, who's going to win the Heisman? We don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's so close. I think it's whoever has the biggest campaign. I think that's what it's going to look like.
I
What do you
love
think?
it. I'm with you there, man. I totally am in agreement to that. I mean, I think maybe one of the dark horses on the back end is that quarterback out of Georgia, Gunnar Stockton. Georgia's always around when it matters most. They're sneaking their
Yeah.
way back in the conversation. You just never know.
Yeah. A lot of people like Jeremiah Love too, but I just don't see a non quarterback position winning the Heisman this year. There hasn't been like, how do I put this? When Genty came out, you knew he was the running back, that he was like the face of the running backs, coming out of college.
Yeah,
I don't think we have a running back that is the face of the running back rooms yet. Maybe we do, and I just don't know. But for me, I haven't seen it yet. You know what I mean?
yeah, I agree.
So Yep. Any other thoughts on the Heisman Watch or any final takes on that?
No, sir.
All right. Well, there's fire. There's definitely fire, and there's people getting fired. Coach Franklin got fired from Penn State, like what, 2 weeks ago? I want to say it was.
Yep.
And that was huge. That came off of a loss to UCLA, and who did they lose to? Right, Northwestern. They lost to Northwestern. Are you kidding me? It's crazy, crazy stuff, right? Penn State was dubbed and crowned as the the team to beat, and would probably make the national championship. There was people saying that they were going to win the Natty this year, right? They went out of the way and bought the highest paid defensive coordinator in all the land, the the reigning national championship defensive coordinator out of Ohio State, Jim Knowles, right? They went and
Yep.
signed him, and they thought they had it in the bag. They thought they were going to have everything taken care of. But
Wow.
but this is a big but. I don't really think they did anything different than they did last year. They brought the quarterback back. The scheme is still the same. All you did was, try to improve the defense. And even at that point, when you did that, I personally don't think it made any changes to your recruiting cycle. It wasn't like you
Right.
added any more players than you were already getting, or it changed the narrative of who you were getting. There really wasn't any changes. And if you know Jim Knowles, he doesn't really do recruiting or anything, right?
Right.
He doesn't really do that. So it didn't really help. And there was really nothing that Ben Franklin, I'm sorry, Coach Franklin, sorry. There was nothing that Coach Franklin did this year that moved the needle. I didn't see any difference. There was no high flying offense. I didn't see them take advantage of Drew Aller's arm or his athletic ability too much. The guy just he was the same guy as we knew last year. So was it any surprise that he got fired? Were you surprised?
Honestly, I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner, if I'm being honest with you. The talent on that Penn State football team, the quarterback, the way that they would run the offense, being a pass, just hesitant to throw the football.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just disgusting to see. Waste of a season for all those poor young men on that Penn State team. Yeah, the fact that their head coach, is going to basically put them out there in those situations and not have them, in the best position to win. Like it wasn't a good look. It's nice to see that the organization was like, enough's enough. Let's cut our losses and move on. I'm curious to see who the next guy's going to be.
Yeah, definitely. I'm kind of curious to see who the next guy is going to be at Penn State. Some names to watch out for. Supposedly, um, it's come out that Urban Meyer was the guy they were talking to prior to them even firing Coach Franklin. Right?
That'd be
That
crazy.
came out. That was nuts. I personally was hoping that Urban Meyer wouldn't take it. I think Urban Meyer, where he's at, I think he just needs to stay right that he's at, not taking away from his coaching ability and stuff. But as a fan, I guess the fan in me, because he was at Ohio State, I actually have met Urban Meyer. My history with Urban Meyer is a little bit more extended than a normal Buckeye fan. Like, he lived right around the corner from my house. I've met him and his wife several times. He used to come into a place of business that my parents owned and whatnot when he was coaching at Bowling Green State
Nice.
University. So that being said, I kind of wanted him to stay where he's at,
Yep.
and just be known as the one of the last Buckeye coaches. I don't want to see him go coach anywhere else. I kind of like him as a commentator, to be honest. I think he does a good job, to be honest.
Yep.
So that's where I'm at now. Other names to watch out. I know there was rumors that they might be high on the coach from Duke. Let me pull up his name because I always forget it. What is his name? Should have had this. Manny Diaz. Manny Diaz supposedly might be a guy to look at. People are saying it's Jim Knowles' time. I don't know about that. Maybe. I just don't think you're going to see anything different at this point. I'm hearing rumors that his defense is too complicated for them
Ooh,
to instill at the time frame that they did.
wow.
Um, so I don't know. Who do you think is going to take that position, if anybody?
Hmm.
Is there a name that you would like to maybe put in the hat, possibly?
Honestly, like it wouldn't surprise me. Didn't Brian Kelly just get fired?
That's a good one. I was thinking about it, bro. I was really, really thinking about it. And
It
he
re-
does. Did he coach at Cincinnati for a hot minute?
I think so.
Yeah, Brian Kelly did coach at Cincinnati, and I was thinking that maybe with the connections that he had there in the recruiting in that area, that might be a good spot for him because he could draw from that. You know what I mean? He can grab some of that Ohio talent that he may have gotten from there. And even in that tri-state, you have what, West Virginia in that area too.
Yep.
So you could maybe pull some players from there. And I think that would be a good spot. That's the name to watch, to be honest. But we'll see. We will see where Penn State lands. The whole point is Franklin may have a new job already. I know in interviews he was talking about how the dream was always to win a national championship, and that dream hasn't ended, and that him and his crew still have that goal in mind. Can they do it at Virginia Tech? Virginia Tech supposedly have been in talks with him. According to some sources, that some people say the deal is done. Some people say that he's one of the front runners. I don't really know where the deal is at this point. But what do you think of him as a Virginia Tech coach?
I think that would be probably good for them in the sense of their organization and just giving them stability. I think being able to stabilize someone like that, you'd eventually get them in a situation where they'd have some big games and opportunities to, maybe get more than what they're getting now. But I don't think that
Mhm.
he'd be one of those that could elevate that program to like national championship contention.
This is true. Here's where I'm at with it. One thing I can give it up to Coach Franklin is that he can build stability for you, right?
Yep,
He came in. I remember prior to him being the coach, there was that whole issue. I want to say, what was it? The scandal that happened at Penn State with the coach that
Joe Paterno.
yes, that whole scandal that happened. He
Yep,
came and brought stability, right? He set up the recruiting lines. If you looked, they did have one of the better recruiting seasons this past year at Penn State. It's just nothing to brag about, to be honest,
yep,
in my opinion. And he still provided a team that was still competitive. They did make a semifinal last year. That's definitely to be proud of. They definitely every year is one of the top three teams coming out of the Big Ten every year.
yep,
So all of that is to be proud of. I think in a situation for him, having that type of an ability to instill a foundation and build off of it very quickly and get it into place, I think would be good for Virginia Tech to have a guy like that to kind of start building their identity back up.
yep.
I also think that the Big Ten became too tough for Coach Franklin.
I
You
can
have
see
a
that.
lot more to deal with besides Ohio State and Michigan now. You have teams like Oregon, you have teams like UCLA, Washington. You have a lot more competition, especially in the NIL era, too, right?
Hmm.
So you think about that. The ACC, still up and down the ACC, there's talent. The coaches, in my opinion, most of them are mid. In my opinion, the teams are kind of mid.
Right.
When you're looking at tiers of teams and stuff like that, I think he has the ability to sneak in to a playoff every once in a while in the ACC.
I
So I
agree.
think for that type of aspect, I think it would be good for him. I think it changes scenery. Um, and also kind of like what he likes to do. I think they could do in the ACC very well. So I think it'll be good overall. Will it be successful? I don't know. That is a good question. We'll have to see how it ends up. But any final thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think just to the point of what you just said, it'll be great for stability, but we'll see, what it all turns out to be.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely see that for sure. All right. So, college football playoff rankings, right? That
Mm,
is something we want to talk about. We're going to be talking about sleepers on the road to the college football playoff. Who are the sleepers? That is a great question, right? Let me bring that up real quick
mm, mm, mm.
because the screen I had, I think I moved off of it. I apologize. Here it is. Okay. So, yeah, college, 5 schools that could sneak into the college football playoff. This is something I was reading. It's very interesting. So, Ohio State, Texas A&M, Alabama, possibly Indiana. Possibly Indiana. Um, those 4 teams are really jockeying to see who's going to be in the top 4. The
Yep.
reason I say possibly Indiana is because at some point Ohio State has to play Indiana. As long as they win out, obviously, we'll probably meet them in the college football play. I'm sorry, the Big Ten championship game, right?
And 3, 4, and 5 will potentially meet in the SEC. One of those, 2 of those 3 will meet in the SEC.
That is correct, possibly. So that could change up the whole outlook of who the top 4 teams are going to be.
Yep.
So then who's the next 7? That's a really good question, right?
Mm.
So you're looking at teams and like for example, Texas Longhorns, they're 6-2, number 20 in the AP top 25. Could they win out and go on a run?
I don't think
USC
so.
USC number 23 in the AP top 25. That's kind of interesting.
Mm.
So I think it depends on how the Big Ten shakes up. An interesting name to watch out. I mentioned them because they're in Miami's way. Does Pittsburgh pull off the upset against Miami? Does Pittsburgh win out even against Georgia Tech? That is a huge question.
That
They're six
would
and two.
throw them, in my opinion. I think that would give you a resume to debate for sure.
That would be really good to look at. And here's the
Uh,
team that's really interesting. Really interesting. Since falling to the number 2 Indiana, the Hawkeyes have rattled off 3 straight wins. They're 6-2 right now.
how dare
Uh,
you steal my thunder? No.
and they only have one Big Ten loss. So go ahead. Take away. Tell everybody what we don't know about the Iowa Hawkeyes.
So,
Go ahead.
man, it's it's as if maybe I was putting all my energy and focusing too much on the wrong Iowa team. It's not Iowa State that we need to be paying attention to. I think it's this Iowa Hawkeye team that offensive line they have. The quarterback they brought in has finally kind of settled down within the offense, and these dudes are, running the football and playing some crazy defense. Funny enough, Oregon and Iowa both have a bye week this week before Oregon has to come across to the Midwest and play in Iowa City, which, you know what I'm ready for? I'm be calling all the boys. I'll be making sure I got them, messages ready. Hey, turn on the real football, because the temperatures just dropped and it's in the 50s now. So by next week, maybe we'll get some 40s and you're going to get some cold weather football and you're going to have to see some guys who are going to have to stand up and make some plays. And those are the people that you want to watch come draft day because the elements don't bother them and they just like to play good football.
Mm.
I love it. I can't wait, man. I can't wait. It's always blown my mind. I've always just been like, just Iowa City. Like it's just some place. Like it's nothing. I don't understand, but
Mhm.
that I've historically watched in my lifetime. These, these top 10, top 5 teams come in and everything's good, their season's rolling, and then they lose to the Hawkeyes in Iowa City. Like I don't understand it, man. But I'm ready for it. I do think there's going to be something to be said about it. And like right now, I'm seeing um, is it Jones? I can't think of his first name. I want to say Aaron, but I don't think that's correct. The center for Iowa, and then you have the right guard, Dunker.
Mhm.
Those two guys definitely, I think, to pay attention to them moving forward to the draft process. I think they're going to go high in the first, probably, I think 1 to 3 rounds, they're going to be off the board.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think that's going to happen. I think the biggest thing for me with when it comes to arguing Iowa's position in all of this is that, like I said before, they only have one Big Ten loss
Yeah,
altogether. Um, in addition to that, I really feel that with all the SEC teams playing each other and looking at who Iowa still has to play now, they have a tough matchup against Oregon. That's going to be the big matchup that's coming up, actually, right?
they have
Yeah.
two big matchups. This is
USC
interesting.
also. Yeah,
Yeah,
they have
you
Oregon.
talked about USC, and after they host Oregon, they have to go to Southern California.
Yeah, so those two big matchups, if they can get through that, right? And let's say they win out, right? And if with all the SEC teams and other teams having to play each other, they could very well end up in this college football playoff. But they would have to win out, the
Yep,
rest of their season. I don't think, knowing the fact that Indiana is still undefeated and Ohio State is undefeated, if they win out, I don't think it's enough for Iowa to get into the Big Ten championship game. I don't think that's enough. But
right.
them just having Oregon and USC beating both those teams, that's huge. That's
Yeah,
really huge.
if they win out, if they go, win these next 4 and end up 10-2
Mhm.
overall with what? Because all 4 of those teams are technically in the Big Ten,
Yeah.
so
Yep.
they'd be 8-1 in conference play. Man, if that if that doesn't put them up there, to be talked about, I don't know what does. Because if they beat Oregon next week, that throws them up into number 3, right
Hmm.
under you guys and Indiana, Ohio State, Indiana. Like that would be, and the only team that they've lost to within the Big Ten so far has been Indiana, and it was a close game, 20-15.
Yeah.
Like
I'm going to
it's
go
gonna
ahead
be
and tell you that
difficult.
this is what I think happens. If they win out the season, let's say they don't get to the Big Ten championship game, I think they end up in it somehow. I think I think there will be 3 representatives from the Big Ten for sure,
Yep,
and I think they get in somehow. And I think Iowa would be that team that will be standing there. Their defense is just that good. They
it
run
is.
the ball. They have tight ends. The only issue that I have though is I don't know if they have the offense that can make a run in a college football playoff. I think they get to
I've
the playoffs,
never
but I think that's where
no
they may start to stall out.
100%. But that's Kirk
Yeah.
Ferentz though. Kirk
Oh yeah,
Ferentz has always gotten you to the moment, letting you at least know, hey, we can get you to that moment, but we
yeah,
can't always win that moment.
yeah. That's true. That is true. USC is an interesting one. I think they've had a much better season. I know. I want to say it was either with you or someone else I was talking about that. What's his name? The coach of USC. You know who I'm talking about?
Yes.
Coach Riley, I think it is.
Yep.
Yeah. I was saying that he needs to show something this year. It hasn't been very good start there yet. And this year they had a hell of a recruiting season, right? And they brought in proper, made the proper investments. They brought in the proper player personnel. They have some guys that I think they can build off there. And it's interesting. It's very interesting what they're doing over there. So we'll see how it ends. But that leads us to the bottom line, and everybody knows what that means. right. This is the bottom line. So this is final takes. So everything we talked about, what's your final take, Mystic? What do you got?
Man, I think my final take, is again, it's going to touch back on what we said. I think we see Kirk Ferentz do what Kirk Ferentz always does. I think we see the Iowa Hawkeyes go on a run here. They find a way to make the first ever 12-team playoff, and just find a way to put their nose in it. I think that's what we're going to see, and we're going to have again, to our conversation, I think we're going to have one of the closer Heisman finalist moments that we've had in years' time.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be very, very close. I think that the last 4 weeks of college football is going to be nuts. I think there's going to be a roller coaster, maybe some upsets. Some people, I heard somebody said that Ohio State is on upset alert from here on out, right?
Ooh.
I don't know if I believe that. Penn State just lost to Iowa. They lost to a team that virtually their main thing is defense, right?
Yep.
We just got done talking about it. But they take care of the ball and they run the ball and they have tight ends. That's really what Iowa's known for. Ohio State has several tight ends. In fact, they have 4 tight ends, and I kid you not, Mystic, that all of them could be starters. Each one of them could be a starter. With just it's pick your poison, basically.
100%.
No, they got a bunch of guys. My point is that I don't know if they're an upset alert until we get to Michigan. I think that's the biggest upset alert. It'll always be an upset alert to me when it comes down to it. But yeah, like what are your thoughts about some of the coaching firings and stuff?
Yeah, so I mean, overall, I don't know, man. Again, I thought it was a great thing for Penn State to get themselves out of that situation. And I think it's going to be interesting to see if he just goes down and cleans up, learns from his mistakes. To put it simple, let's see if Franklin can learn from his mistakes going down to Virginia Tech, if that's where he lands. I mean, let's see if Penn State can actually land a guy who, when they recruit a high end talent, for the team across the board, if they can actually put it to use. Again, to our, what you had said earlier, preseason, number one, and they are 3-4, looking just god awful. So I'm very curious to see how things continue over time with those two organizations and those coaches.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be really interesting. It's some of the coaching and different things that's going on in the NCAA, especially with some of the NIL changes and how money is being ruled on where it can go and how it can move and stuff like that when it comes to paying players and stuff. I think it'll be really interesting how teams decide on who they want to bring in, right? Some
100%.
of these coaches, they come with their own financial teams and stuff like that
Yep.
that really know how to crunch the numbers, and every move programs make now are going to matter. They're starting to make it more where these college teams are really professional teams, and there's consequences on how they move their money around. You know what I mean?
100%.
So it's going to be very interesting on who they bring in going forward. But this college football season, man, I'm excited, bro. I cannot wait for the Texas Tech versus Kansas State game. That's going to be interesting. Obviously, you know who I support. I'm always going to watch the Ohio State game. But that Miami situation, to me, is a must watch. Can they get it done?
Yeah.
Are they going to get the help that they need? Is Georgia Tech going to help them? Is Pittsburgh going to get, they're going to be able to take care of Pittsburgh at the same time?
Yep.
That is going to be the big question. So everybody hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, turn on the notification bell. We're going to try to do this again within a week. You guys have a wonderful day. Thank you for coming to hang out with us. We'll talk to you next time.